Welcome to the Period Besties Podcast with Stasha and Katie. Think about it as chatting with your best friends about all the TMI stuff you've never talked about before with two period coaches who've been helping hormones collectively for over 20 years now. I'm Stasha.
And I'm Katie, and we're pulling back the curtain on what it's like in the world of menstrual coaching. From puberty to menopause and everything in between, we're here to show you how period coaching can save the day. We'll share practical tips and information you can put to immediate use to improve your hormones and happiness.
We're removing the mystery, ending the taboo, and shining a light on just how powerful period coaching can be.
So whether you need period coaching or are considering becoming a period coach yourself, these episodes are going to help you. We'll share stories, coach live on air, and bring smart, savvy guests to share their wisdom too. Let's start today's episode.
That was an incredible conversation that we had with Dr. Kayla Smith. First of all, I love to just chat with her about the misconceptions, especially should you do folate? Should you do folic acid? What about blood work? I feel like there's so many things. You go to the doctor, they're like, everything's normal. And then they send you on your way. And if you've been struggling with infertility, if you've been trying to get pregnant and you keep getting pushback from the doctor, this conversation is really going to be enlightening and really guide you to a more, I don't know, I just felt like it was a big warm hug of just like information, and it's going to help you not feel alone is what I'm trying to say. It was really comforting.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It felt, wow, there really are resources and options out there, especially with fertility. You get so many just IVF. It's like 0 to IVF and nothing in between. And I feel that she really opened it up, gave options and ideas. And it just felt so much if you're struggling, or even if you're just, I'm thinking about getting pregnant soon. Yeah. What do I need to know? I feel like she gave us such practical, useful, doable information in this episode that I really hope that everyone listening can walk away feeling better.
Same. So without further ado, enjoy our conversation and be sure to grab her free gift because it sounds super delicious. Just a whole recipe book. And I'm always looking for new recipes. So if you are too, listen away and grab her free gift. Welcome back to the Period Besties Podcast. Today, we have Dr. Kayla, who is here to share all about fertility. And we got to meet. I was part of her Solving Infertility Summit in January, and I loved talking to her. And I was like, we have to have you on the summit. We haven't really had this conversation yet. Such an important one. So we would love for you to just start off sharing who you are, what you do with everyone that's listening.
Sure. So thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. And like you said, I'm Dr. Kayla Smith, and I am a holistic and integrative fertility and hormone doctor. And I work with people all over the world. I help them figure out the root cause of why they're not getting pregnant, help them heal that root cause, and then get pregnant, have a healthy baby, and an easy postpartum. And I also started a company 8 years ago out of my own personal story, which we'll get into, called the Hormone Puzzle Society. And that's what we do here. We help people get pregnant all around the world.
I love that. And there's such a need. I feel like in my own journey, just going to just traditional doctors like OBs, right? That's like your first stop. And it's very standard. It's not very personalized. And I feel like what happens a lot of time is that we feel a little stuck because we're like, I've already been doing all of the things and nothing's really changing. We're not really seeing any difference. So I'm really curious about the specialty of fertility, right? And what's your story behind that?
Sure. It came out of my own personal struggle with infertility. I was trying to get pregnant, and I thought we hear our whole lives, you just have sex to get pregnant. That's how it works. That's how you make a baby. I learned that was not the case for my husband and I. And so we did what most people do. We went to our OBGYN. We said, we're trying to get pregnant. It's not happening. And so she ran a couple tests and said, everything looks normal. Come back and see me in 3 months. And so we kept trying, still nothing. Long story short, by the point of we finished with her. She said, you have unexplained infertility. I recommend you go to a fertility clinic and see what your next options are. So we went to see them. They did some additional testing and told me at 36 that IVF was my only option. And I said, because I was advanced maternal age and I had unexplained infertility. I was like, wait a minute, I'm not 40, 56. There's got to be something that we can do. So I left that office very frustrated, but determined that I was going to figure out what I needed to do to get as fertile as possible. And that's what I did. And I ended up having not one, but 2 children. My last was born when I was 40 years old. And at 40 with a newborn and a 2-year-old, I went back to school and said, I have to teach this. And so, as they say, the rest is history. I started my company and I teach people all over the world how they can do this too.
What is normal? Because we hear that a lot, right? You go to the doctor and they're like, everything's normal. But if something's not working the way that you expect in terms of fertility, like you said, same thing. Stasha, I'm sure, same thing. If you have sex, you're going to get pregnant, right? And then all of a sudden you go to the doctors and you're like, everything's normal. You're like, but I'm having sex.
Not working.
Yeah.
I know. And I always give the analogy too. A lot of times they'll send you straight to the fertility clinic because an OB, they don't really work with fertility. That's not their specialty. They work with like maintenance health, pretty much, women's maintenance health. So they'll send you to that fertility clinic. And I always say, if you're going to buy a car, you're going to go to a car dealership. They're going to sell you a car. If you're going to buy some clothing, you're probably going to go to a clothing store. They're going to sell you clothes. If you go to a fertility clinic, they're going to sell you IVF. That's what they do. So normal to them is, do I fit the parameters for IVF? And that's what they're going to sell you. So it's very frustrating. And it's why I do the work that I do, because that's not the only option.
I find that so fascinating. And that normals thing, right? I had a friend who did charting. Like, her business was essentially helping people get pregnant through charting, seeing abnormalities in their chart, adjusting in whatever needed. And she had a woman who was a nurse at a fertility clinic who was trying to get pregnant in the fertility clinic. The doctor was like, oh, do this, do that. Nothing ever worked. So she ended up going outside of the fertility clinic she literally worked at to go to my friend, who was like, oh no, one chart, you ovulate early. You ovulate, I forget what day it was, but it was like day 10 or something. She was like, you ovulate early. Are you aware of that? No, I had no idea. Okay. When are you having sex? On day 14. You missed that window already. It took literally 1 month with my friend to say, oh, here's your cycle. You ovulate on day 10. You need to start on day 8, 9, right? Like, just readjust the window essentially. And she was pregnant a month later. So all this time working in a fertility clinic, and all she had to do was track ovulation, and that changed everything for her. And it was in such a short time frame that it was like a combination of like mad, but also just like laughing at the absurdity of it. It was just like that awkward, do I laugh? Do I cry? What emotion should I have right now? As you did as well.
And I find that a lot. That was my story too. They never asked me if I was ovulating, if I was tracking my cycle, if I knew, what does your period look like? When do you ovulate? None of it. And some people, it is that simple. You're just not tracking, you're not timing your intercourse appropriately, and it just takes a little adjusting, and then you'll be pregnant. So it still drives me crazy that our doctors are not telling us, or our conventional doctors are not telling us this.
Yeah, absolutely. I also have to say that I'm obsessed with the name, the Hormone Puzzle. I have always said that the reason I love this work so much is because every person is a different puzzle. And my one-on-one coaching specialized in endometriosis business owners, right? It's because I have endometriosis. That's how I figured out how to run my business with my cycle. And so I love working with other women who have endo and businesses. And I've always said everyone's endometriosis is different. So that's a puzzle. And then everyone's business is different. So that's a puzzle. So I get one client, I get 2, maybe 3 fun puzzles to work on at a time. So I saw the name of your business and I just loved it. Also, I'm working on a new business idea. So now I'm like hyper aware of everyone's business names because I have to come up with a new name.
I love it. Yeah. And that's exactly why I named it this, is because I was thinking about it and I was like, hormones are like a big puzzle. Like, you have to figure it out. If one piece is out out of alignment, then the picture's all jumbled up and you don't have this picture of health. But once it comes together as this beautiful puzzle, then you do have this beautiful picture of health and it performs the way that it should. And so, yeah, that's why I named it that. And people love it. So
that leads me to a question. So in period coaching school, when I'm teaching the students, we talk about noticing the red flags, some of the common things that we can try with every client, see if something shakes loose, something's still there, whatever. When you're working with somebody, what is that process that you go through with a client?
Yeah, so we have a very in-depth health history form. And so I'll have them fill that out. It's 57 pages. And I look at everything from past. I want to know their past traumas. What was your childhood like? Where did you meet your partner? All the way through your medical stuff. What is your cycle like? What is your hormones? And I have them send me any previous labs that they've done. And that's like a big puzzle. I look at all the information and I say, this is what I think is going on here. Have you thought about this? Have you tried this? And then that's where we start. So it gives us a roadmap to know where to start. And then once we do that, I'll say, okay, based on this information, I'm missing this piece of data. We need this functional lab, or we need this additional blood work, or what other data do we need to say, this is how we need to form a protocol based on your specific case.
Do you find that a lot of women don't have even like basic blood work done at first? Or like, what are you seeing when women come to you? What are they missing from their health history in terms of previous visits and different things?
Sure. So it really goes all over the gamut. I get some people that they've been on this journey for 2, 3, 4 years and they've done all the blood work. Some of them have blood work that says normal, but they're still not getting pregnant. And so that's where I say, okay, obviously there's something going on here. Your body should be able to get pregnant. If you're not in menopause, then you should be able to get pregnant. Even in perimenopause, if you're still ovulating, you can get pregnant. And so I'll look and say, what other data do we need? What other pieces of information? That's when I'll lean into functional labs and I'll say, okay, do we need to do a Dutch test to look deeper into the hormone profile? Have you had a full thyroid panel? That's another one that you have to ask for. I know we're going to talk about that. Do we need to look at your gut microbiome? Do we need to look at your mineral status, your metals, your toxicities? All of that comes from that health history form that I review based on what other information do we need. Or on the other side of things, some people come to me and they're just getting started. Maybe they've seen their OB and they've had basic blood work, but not really in-depth blood work. So if that's the case, I will say, let's do a full blood panel just to make sure we're hitting all of those pieces, because you can learn a lot from blood work. Even though I do like functional labs, I feel like they're deeper. If you haven't had all the basic blood work, we need to start there. That's usually covered under insurance. It's usually a lot cheaper and easier to do. It really just depends on where the person is when they come into me, what we do first.
Yeah. And that brings me to a really good question about the thyroid.
Yes.
So I remember my own journey. I had 2 miscarriages and I was like, please do a thyroid panel on me. And I had to ask over and over again. And finally they did one. Turns out I have Hashimoto's. And that kind of led me on a very different journey so that I could get my body in a better place to become pregnant. But this was also a while ago, so I don't know if things have changed a little bit. But do you see that often with just basic testing, especially thyroid, especially just checking TSH versus the whole panel?
You have to ask at, I would say 90% of doctors, you have to ask to get more than just TSH, because they still think that is the gold standard of thyroid testing. And as TSH is really not even a thyroid hormone, it's a pituitary gland hormone, and it doesn't tell us a whole lot. And so I always say, like, if you are having any symptoms that might point back to the thyroid, and if you don't know, then that's when you would lean on a functional doctor like myself, but you need a full thyroid panel. So I recommend T3, T4, reverse T3 and 4, even doing the antibodies to make sure you don't have something like Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism.
Yeah. What about the thyroid with miscarriage? What's the connection there?
Yeah, there's definitely an increased risk of miscarriage if you have low thyroid, especially if it's hypothyroid or Hashimoto's. There is a direct link to that. That's why we need to determine if you've had a miscarriage. That's one of the things I say, definitely have a full thyroid. If you have, obviously, the telltale symptoms, you have any metabolic issues, you're constantly cold hands and feet, thinning hair, all of those symptoms that can point back to thyroid, irregular cycles even and ovulatory cycles, low progesterone, short luteal phase, all of it can say, okay, we need to look further into the thyroid. And again, thyroid is, a lot of times we can do blood work. A full thyroid panel is blood work. You can get that at your doctor, and usually your insurance will pay for it. So if you haven't had a full panel, I would say push for that. And sometimes, depending on your doctor, if you ask, they'll do it. Sometimes they won't. You still have to push. But I feel like at least when you ask, they're getting a lot better at doing that.
Yeah. Do you think that would be the first thing to test, or when somebody's going in and they're preparing their body for pregnancy, what are like at minimum, what blood work do you actually want everybody to just do?
So I would do a full sex hormone blood work profile. Before we even do that, I would do your basic blood work, your CDC with differential, looking at your A1C, look at the metabolic profile, look at your mineral status through blood, do that basic. That should be a yearly physical thing. Even if you're not trying to get pregnant, you should do that blood work every year. So most people should have that, or they should go get that. After that, I would do a full sex hormone profile. So that's going to be estrogen, progesterone, but then also looking at LH, FSH, even AMH. I like to see AMH. This is anti-Müllerian hormone for fertility, which will tell you your egg reserve. It's not the only piece though. So I always tell people, don't freak out. If it comes back low, you can fix that and change it, especially if you're in perimenopause or younger than that. A lot of people will get it and it'll be less than 1. And they're like, oh my gosh, I can never get pregnant without IVF. But you can change that. But I do like to see that because, again, it's another piece of the data where we can say, okay, if it is lower than 1 and you are younger than, say, 40, well, why? Why do you have low AMH? So it's just another piece that we want to look at. I also like to see testosterone and DHEA. Those are another piece to that puzzle that's really important in the blood work.
Yeah. With the AMH, how does somebody actually improve that?
Yeah, so we would work on egg quality. And new research is showing us now, we used to think we were born with all the eggs that we had, but there's dormant follicles laying there with eggs that with the right diet, lifestyle, supplements, you can actually improve those dormant follicles, increase their chances of ovulating, and then the egg in there is strong. So I would do that plus work on egg quality, getting the right supplements, doing all the nutrition and lifestyle pieces for egg quality.
I think that's amazing for everybody who's listening. Like, first, because I still feel like the AMH is that gold standard, but the fact that you just shared that you can actually, and I tell my clients that too, I'm like, egg quality, not necessarily the quantity, is what we're really looking for right now.
Yeah. And it takes 1 egg. I always try to remind people, and if you're doing IVF, you need as many eggs as you can get. They want the quantity. We're going for quality. You just need 1 egg. So if you're still ovulating, you still have a chance. Even if it's a 1% chance, I always tell people, like, you have a 1% chance. Like, somebody's getting pregnant in that 1%. So you still have options. Yeah.
And not to forget that new research has also shown how much sperm quality affects pregnancy. Will you have pregnancy symptoms? Actually depends on the sperm. Like, your nausea during pregnancy is the sperm donor side of that equation. So more we're learning that sometimes miscarriage and those pregnancy symptoms are actually our partner's quality of sperm. So as we're doing ours, encouraging our partners to do the same thing, eating healthier, getting those vitamins and nutrients and supplements and testing and stuff as well, so that you have a happier, easier, healthier pregnancy. And it can also be a contributing factor to miscarriage, which finally I was like, it didn't ever make sense to me why it was always the woman's fault, but at least now we have some studies out there.
Exactly. And that's what I tell my clients. It's 50%. Your partner is 50% of the equation. And his sperm is responsible for your placenta formation. So it can control if you have a lot of pregnancy symptoms and if you get preeclampsia. The partner plays a huge piece in that, which is gestational. That's high blood pressure in pregnancy. So your partner, your husband, he needs to really get on board with this. You guys are making a baby together, not you making a baby by yourself and he's just on the sidelines.
Yeah, especially like I had a client years ago whose husband smoked pot every day and he didn't want to. Yeah, that's one of the worst things you can do for sperm quality. And I was like, okay, like, I mean, I was looking at her health history. I was like, I think like you're on a good track, but we've got to like work on him too. And no doctor had suggested any testing on sperm for this couple specifically. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
he's not my client, but here you go.
Yeah. And that's not just smoking, but gummies, vaping, any marijuana. I recommend abstaining from marijuana while you're trying to get pregnant. And I know that's a hard conversation. A lot of men use it to relax, but it's not doing you any favors.
And really, booze in the United States, more people drink than smoke. So really, I think the first one is how much do you drink? Because that's, especially with men, especially in the United States, that's, I think, the first. And then probably nicotine. My goodness, the amount of men that still smoke just cigarettes is, I'm shocked sometimes. I forget, and then I go out into the world and I'm like, all right.
I can't believe you're still doing this. Oh, I get it. With all the respiratory issues that we have in the world, you're going to smoke cigarettes.
And all the data we have now, knowing that this is not the 1960s anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But in that same vein of things that you can do, supplements you can take, vitamins, those kinds of things, are there key things that we're missing in our diets or that we need to supplement with that can help prepare for pregnancy better?
Yeah, for sure. I recommend that all women and men do a really high quality prenatal. And some people will say, men have to do a prenatal? Yeah, you're 50% of it. Absolutely. And there's actually specific prenatals that are for sperm quality and quantity. So I would say, take it a step. I would like you to do both, but if you only can do one, even doing the sperm supplement is going to be that much more beneficial for the fertility journey. Women definitely high quality prenatal, also a pre and probiotic. Now, if you haven't done gut health testing, sometimes I want to do that first, especially if you have a lot of gut symptoms. But just a standard pre and probiotic is going to be beneficial whether you've done the testing or not. I also like fish oil. Fish oil is going to help you lower inflammation. So get a really good high quality fish oil. If you're on a limited budget, sometimes I'll say, okay, if you can eat fish 3 times a week, a low mercury, small fish, I'm okay if you skip that one. But if you're not eating enough fish, then definitely add that as a supplement. Also, vitamin D. Most of us are low in vitamin D. Most of us don't even synthesize vitamin D correctly. So I say, let's add some vitamin D, especially if you live north of the equator or you are not out in the sun on every daily basis. And then once those are the core ones. And then after that, I would say, okay, what are you struggling with? What is your goals? Is it egg quality, sperm quality? Let's put some CoQ10 in here. Is it you're trying to detox estrogen? Then I would say not DIM, because DIM is only for people not trying to get pregnant, because it's going to really block estrogen and make it lower than we want it to be for fertility. But I do use N-acetylcysteine, NAC. This is going to not only help you detox estrogen, but it's not going to block it completely. So we still have enough for fertility. What are some other ones I like to use? Sometimes I'll use some additional egg supplements. There's like sperm supplements, there's specific egg support supplements. So if somebody does have low AMH, sometimes we'll do an egg supplement. And those are the standards. And then after that, I would look again, okay, what are you struggling with? Do you have a lot of gut issues? Have we done a gut test? Okay, there's additional supplements you need here. Have we done a hormone test? Is there additional things that you need for your hormones? Are you in adrenal fatigue? That's one we haven't even touched on. I see so many adrenal fatigue people, and I say, let's help through diet and lifestyle, obviously, but sometimes it's not enough. We need an adrenal support supplement. Are you methylating? That's another one I see a lot. And we're going to talk about folic acid versus folate, but 60% of the population has MTHFR, which is a gene mutation that causes them not to methylate their Bs. If that's you, then we would do a methylated B vitamin just to make sure that it's in usable form. So there's core supplements, and then it's based on the individual, what they actually need, if we need additional support.
Yeah. Can you share a little bit more about adrenal fatigue for everyone that's listening, who I think a lot of us are feeling a little tired?
Yes. So adrenal fatigue, first, it starts out as you are just highly stressed on a daily basis. And now people sometimes get confused around stress. This can be mental and emotional. Obviously, you have a hard work life, you have a hard home life, you're going through fertility journey, you're just mentally and emotionally fatigued. And so that's one piece of it. But we can also have physical stress where we have food sensitivities or gut imbalances or something that's internal, that's physical, that's not mental and emotional, that's affecting the body and stressing it out. So those are the two places where we're going to have stress. And what happens when we're either physically, mentally, or emotionally, or all three stressed, then that's going to cause, first, before we get to adrenal fatigue, it's going to cause our cortisol to spike. This is our body releasing cortisol, which is our main stress hormone that comes out of the adrenal glands. So it's every time we are stressed, and think about a daily basis. From the time you wake up, you're in traffic, with your boss, so many times for that to happen. The body keeps releasing cortisol. Eventually, if you don't have it managed and you don't have where your nervous system can say, okay, I'm going to take this cortisol, but then I'm going to regulate myself, because you've been stressed for so long and you haven't regulated and your body hasn't learned how to do that, that's when the adrenal glands become tired. And they're like, I cannot keep releasing this cortisol. I'm exhausted. You're working me to death. That's when they lay back, slow down, and say, we can't release any more cortisol. We're going to take a nap because we're tired. And that's when you become adrenal fatigued and your body is just slow and low and it just can't produce the hormones that you need. And so when that happens, that's when you get not just tired, that's where you're just exhausted. Your body is just so exhausted mentally, physically. You go to bed, you sleep, if you can sleep, you sleep 8 hours, you wake up and you're just so tired. You can't function. You're tired in the afternoons. You're always sick. Your skin looks terrible. You're just walking around like, I'm done. So that is adrenal fatigue. And that affects I can't tell you, probably 90% of the Dutch tests that I run, I will see adrenal fatigue on that test. And then I start to look at the health history, talk to the client, and they'll say, yeah, I'm burned out, I'm exhausted, and they're in adrenal fatigue. So that's when we need to come in with some strong supplements, some good lifestyle pieces, and try to get them out of it.
I guess we shouldn't be that surprised. It's 90%, huh?
Yeah, it's high. It's crazy.
I'd be more shocked if somebody didn't have it at this point.
Right.
Just living in the world right now is stressful. So
Yeah.
I know. I was like shocked at first. I was like, wait, no, like that actually makes sense.
Yeah, I know. And I think too, it's 90. It used to be 100%, but now it's 90 because I think people are more aware. And so now they're actually being proactive with, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to put boundaries in place and say no more. I'm going to get to bed on time. I'm going to get away from my screen. So I think education is really helping people not be in adrenal fatigue as much as we were seeing even like a year ago. So,
That's promising.
yeah, I know. Right. Yes.
a lot of people need something to work towards, right? So a lot of people will have adrenal fatigue and go, there's nothing I can do about it. But then you start on a pregnancy journey and you're having trouble with your fertility. And now there's a real reason to put those boundaries up, to say no more often, to prioritize your sleep. And it's hard sometimes to do things just for our own well-being, but that fertility journey can sometimes be the best excuse to get some changes made, shall we say.
Yes, I know. I always say the best motivator is when you're on a fertility journey. You will do anything it takes to get to that other side with your baby. So that's a great motivator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick question before we move forward about the methylated, the folic acid. Since most women aren't aware that they have that genetic mutation, do you suggest doing methylated folate in all prenatals?
I do. I don't recommend folic acid. Folic acid is synthetic. And the reason it was added to so many things is because it does help prevent neural tube defects. And so in the 90s, they were seeing a lot of neural tube defects, which is when the tube of the baby doesn't form correctly. It can cause things like spina bifida, or the baby's not going to be viable if it can't form its neural tube. And so the government said, let's add folic acid because it's cheap, we can make it, it's synthetic, we'll just throw it in everything, versus telling people to eat folate, which is greens, which some people aren't going to do. So they did that. If you have this gene, and it still is so crazy to me why they didn't think. A lot of people have a gene mutation where they can't methylate their folate. So why are we putting folic acid in everything? But they didn't think that. So they put it in all these things and people can't use it. And it did lower neural tube defects, But the people that can't methylate it still are going to have an issue. It can cause things like miscarriage, low birth weight baby, inability to get pregnant even. And so I really recommend, no matter what, even if you don't know if you have MTHFR, just take a methylated folate because it's not going to hurt you. It's only going to help you. And yes, granted, it's a little more expensive, but it could save your life, your baby's life if you do that. And I say be on it forever. Even if you don't know, I would recommend testing so you could see because it is a little bit more expensive. But if you can't test, if you can't afford that, just be on it forever. Just daily supplements. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I can still look at like my client supplements and all their doctors still are having them with a prenatal with folic acid. And then I have the conversation. And then most of the time they're like, okay, they switch, but then they'll bring it back to their doctor. The doctor's, no, we need the folic acid. So I just send research on that case. But thanks for clearing that up because there still is that back and forth debate that I see all the time, even online and on Instagram, social media, people are still having that debate. So for everyone listening, we cleared that up.
Yes.
So thank you.
Folate, not folic acid. And obviously we're going to supplement, but also eat foods high in folate. Eat your leafy greens and all your beautiful greens and get the food-based folate. That is very important too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like our leafy greens and our food-based answers to help reduce how many pills you have to take in a day and how many potions and tonics and things. It's tough to live these days without them healthfully, but if you can reduce it through just eating some good food, that's always a nice perk.
And I have a fun little hack too for people who don't like greens. Put them in the food processor and they will chop them up so fine. And then you can make a super fine chopped salad. I did this recently and put like every green vegetable you could think of and then made like this yummy lemon dressing. Oh my goodness. It's such a fun way to eat your greens. And there was like 10 different varieties in this little salad. So use your food processor and grind them up.
I love that.
Yeah, like a sprinkle, a salad sprinkle.
Exactly.
Yes.
I do that with seaweed. I like the seaweed to add to soups and salads and chicken salad, egg salad, leafy green salads. That's just a nice way of adding a little boost of nutrition without it having a huge effect on the flavor or taste.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love it.
So what's one of your favorite things about working in this field?
Yeah, anytime I get a text or an email or a message that somebody has gotten pregnant after infertility, it just makes it so worth just the work that I do. There's no words that you can put on that. It's the most rewarding thing in the world, knowing that I've helped somebody create a life when they didn't think they were going to be able to. So that's probably my favorite thing. And to working with people all over the world, I get to experience all these different cultures and countries and all these places. And it's so rewarding. I just love it. It never gets old.
I definitely have to agree with that one.
Yeah.
Any other, besides dark leafy greens, anything else that you suggest women as they're preparing for pregnancy or they're dealing with infertility, like that they should really be focusing on?
Yeah, so I don't focus on any one diet. I feel like there's so many diets that either get praised or criticized. I think if you eat whole food nutrition, that's all you have to worry about. Try to limit what you eat from a package. I know you can't 100% eat no package because if you have butter or almond milk, or sometimes you're going to have to eat from a package, but 90% of your food should be clean, whole food, majority being fruits and vegetables, but then add a little bit of meats and some seafood, nuts and seeds, more Mediterranean type, but definitely whole foods. Get it from the earth, whether it had a mom or it came from the ground. That's what you want to focus on when it comes to diet and lifestyle. And then let me go back. I try not to limit. I really focus on what you can eat versus what you can't eat. If you're eating a lot of good, whole, clean foods that are delicious with lots of flavor and lots of variety, you're not going to miss the things that you feel like you can't have. There's a couple of things what I would say really limit. Try to limit your sugar as much as possible. Not to say that you can't ever have a cookie or a piece of cake. If you love it, that's my other thing. I'm like, only eat it if you love it. Don't just eat it because it's in the break room. Make sure it's your favorite cookie or your favorite piece of cake. But not to say that you can't ever have that, but just really limit it, especially during the fertility journey. We know sugar is very inflammatory. It spikes your blood sugar. It causes your body to be inflamed. It's just not great for you. So limit sugar. Hydrogenated oils are another one that we need to really I would say, eliminate completely. Your vegetable oils, canola oils, rapeseed, all of these processed, highly, highly processed oils, again, are just going to inflame the body and just cause an unhospitable environment for fertility and pregnancy. But on the other hand, lean into the healthy oils. Olive oil for salads, coconut oil, and even some clarified butter for cooking. So you can have that as far as oils go. Then gluten and dairy are the other two that I get a lot of questions around. And I would rather you stay away from gluten. 90% of the population has a gluten sensitivity. It might not be diagnosed. Many people don't have celiac, but they are sensitive to gluten. But the question is becoming more and more as we look at the research. Is it actually the gluten that people are responding to, or is it the glyphosate that they spray on the gluten? So either way, I would say just be mindful of gluten. If you can eliminate it, great. If you're eating all these fruits and vegetables and lean meats, none of those have gluten in them naturally. So you can stay away from it, great. I get it. If you're at your favorite Italian restaurant, you want to have some of the delicious bread, have a little bit, see how your body responds. But on a daily basis, I would say eliminate or minimize gluten as much as you possibly can. That's the same with dairy. Dairy has a couple different things. It is inflammatory. We know that. But it also has a lot of good properties. It's a great source of protein, has a lot of vitamins and minerals, especially if you do organic, whole variety. So I would again say, see how your body responds. Don't have a heavy dairy diet, but if you like a little bit of whole Greek yogurt or a little whole milk in your coffee, just see how your body does and don't go crazy with dairy. Be mindful of how much you're eating. But other than that, I would say there's not a whole lot of other things I would say that are completely off the table, but just really focusing on those whole foods is what I would recommend.
I love that.
Do you guys agree? I know you work a lot with nutrition too.
Yeah, definitely.
Fully. When I was doing my endometriosis, I spent like 20 years trying to settle the endo, right? But the first time that I really felt a significant impact was when I did 30 days Whole Foods.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing from a box or a bag, but like obviously rice comes in a bag.
Yes,
So,
that's what I,
we had grass-fed butter, that kind of thing, but it was just very much whole foods and no gluten, no sugar, no dairy, no caffeine. Like I really ripped the Band-Aid off and went squeaky clean, no preservatives, no anything, right? But that was the first time in 20 years I had a period where I wasn't on the floor begging for death. So I definitely was like, this is an incredible light bulb moment. And it wasn't a particular diet. It wasn't paleo. It wasn't Greek. It was just real food for a full month and no exceptions. And that made a huge difference. And I've always been a big cooker. So it wasn't like, okay, this is impossible to keep going, but that was it. After that, I really significantly changed my diet and cleaned things up. And it has made a big difference. It's been a good 15 years since then. And I'm here. It's day one of my period. I do have a heated blanket wrapped around my donut torso. Higher area of the body, and I have ginger and tea in my cup. I'm not on the floor of the bathroom throwing up and begging for sweet death. So I feel like we're in a win space, right? So to me, I mean, that was it. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to save other women from the pain and suffering that I went through. And that was my only goal. And getting that first email of somebody going, I'm not in horrific pain anymore, was like, that's it. I'm sold. This is what I do with my life now. So yeah, I feel you. 100% agree. Food is such an important part of the puzzle. And also Katie and I both have thyroid, hypothyroid, and Hashimoto's. So we're both gluten-free because of our thyroid. And endo is an autoimmune, but thing. And I'm like, I haven't been tested because I just don't need to do 30 days or however long I'm eating gluten to do the celiac test. But I'm so sensitive that it has to be. I pretty much just say I'm celiac. have
Yep.
endo. And if I eat gluten, I am in horrific pain, gut wise, for a couple of days. And then my next period, I'm back to the bathroom floor throwing up. So it's just
Not
a
worth it.
no-go for me.
Yeah. And same for me. I've been gluten-free for 6 or 7 years now. And I didn't even think about it. It's just not in my lifestyle. I just choose foods that are naturally gluten-free and that's it. I don't even miss it. But I think you made a good point there. And this is what I do with all my clients as well. And I'm sure you guys do something similar, but when they come to me, we do a 30-day detox reset where we remove all of that.
Yeah.
And then after that 30 days, I say, okay, if you don't have anything like endo or thyroid issues, or if it's just unexplained, then you're like, I want to dip my toe back in with a little, then we'll do a reintroduction and kind of see how your body responds. But yeah, like you, I know my body does not like gluten and I just stay away from it.
I can't even get my rings off. If I get glutenized, my hands are swollen. I'm like, I didn't even realize because I always say that I'm like a crackeraholic. Like I love crackers. So I feel like I grew up just eating crackers all the time. I don't know. My mom like to this day laughs at me because I feel like all I did was eat gluten and bread and all that stuff. So I feel like I didn't really ever notice. And then when I stopped, I was like, oh, I never thought my fingers were swollen, but I guess they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Makes
wild.
a huge difference. Yeah. And I don't even want it anymore. My clients will come to me and at first some of them are sad. They're like, oh my God, I love pasta, I love bread. But then once you remove it, most people don't even want it anymore. You lose your taste for it. And you don't want to be swollen and in pain on the floor. So let's get rid of this.
And these days, they're so much easier. Like when I did it, there was no gluten-free. It didn't exist. So I really had to go to the Asian market and I got rice noodles and stuff like that after my 30 days of Whole Foods. But I was like, I would like some noodles. I know that rice noodles exist. Like I'm going to go to the Asian market and buy up. But that was it. There was no bread. There was no pasta. There was nothing. So I just forgot sandwiches existed for a really long time.
Or when you would go to the restaurant, people would look at you like you were crazy. What gluten-free? What do you mean? And now it's like on the menus.
Everywhere.
I got really good at going, look, I can go to Vietnamese. I can go to Thai. I cannot go to Chinese. So we got a 2 out of 3. Like I got really good at knowing what I could eat in what place without having to ask because they didn't know what it was or didn't exist. Yeah, it's crazy. But now it's so much easier. And when I do this with clients, I will often say, just go get some gluten-free options. If every Friday is pizza night in the family and you just cannot crush everyone else's hopes and dreams, get a pizza, but get a gluten-free pizza as well. And here's my favorite brands that do a good crust.
Yeah.
Crust. You can make that at home.
Right? It's just, you can do some things these days to experiment that are at least can help you understand if it is or isn't. Right. Or like dairy, I definitely cow dairy unless it's cheese form, the process of fermentation with the cheese helps. But I have goat milk yogurt in the house instead of cow milk yogurt, and it's delicious and I love it. And so that's the yogurt. So I'm still getting the probiotics, but also I'm not getting the cow dairy because that just does not work out well for my body
And I think that's knowing your body and introducing and seeing how you respond. My body does fine. I can eat organic whole milk yogurt. I love it. I don't eat it every day, but I can have it here and there. And I don't notice any difference. But I have patients and clients where they'll have a little bit and same. They'll get bloated. They'll feel yucky. Their sleep will be messed up, their respiratory system. So I think it is really individual basis in figuring out, okay, out of these foods that really should be avoided, can I have a little bit or not?
Absolutely. That's one of the things I love doing with clients. I even have a $7 30-day food and flow where essentially you can choose your own adventure. Do you want to try going dairy free? Do you want to try going gluten free? Do you want to try going booze free this month? Whatever, you can choose your own adventure, and there's a whole guide and everything that takes you through it, and then reintroduce things. How does it feel? And this is where Katie and I talk about the difference between charting and just period tracking. And this is where charting is the make or break, right? Because charting, you're going, boy, my digestion was really messed up today. What did I have to eat yesterday or this morning, right? Or my sleep was really messed up. What did I do yesterday? Versus just tracking your period. It came, it went. But when we're charting and we're looking at what was my mood like yesterday? Oh, well, I did have a bunch of sugar and I am a grouch today. So, all right, good to know. Like sugar makes me grouchy. Gluten makes me poopy. Caffeine makes me so that I can't sleep. So it's just nice to be able to chart and see those little correlation causation things start to rear up in it.
Sure. And I do something similar to that. This is not my idea, but it's something I use in my practice, but it's the food, mood, poop journal, where you're looking at what food did you eat? What was your mood? What did your poop look like? And really chart it that way.
I love that. Makes no sense. So we've talked a lot about how you take care of other people.
Yes.
How do you take care of yourself as a practitioner, as a mom? How do you actually stay balanced yourself?
Yeah, so I am very type A, if you can't tell. So I have a very regimented self-care routine. So I have strong boundaries in place where I only see clients and patients during certain hours, my work day when my kids are at school. And in between that, in the morning, I love to get up a little bit early before my kids and either get in a workout or do a meditation. Sometimes I'll even do something called a brain tap, where you're like getting with the brain neuroplasticity. I also end my work day when my kids get home, and then I can spend time with them. We can go to the park, we can go to the zoo, whatever we want to do to really nurture those relationships and lean into family. And then I have a strong boundary around the weekends. I don't work weekends. That was one thing when I started my practice. I said, I'm not working weekends. Even if a client or patient asked me to, I don't work weekends. And so that's time for either leaning into my own self-care, spending time with friends, being in my sauna, doing some strength training or a yoga class, or leaning into my family and doing family things together as a team. So I love to focus on taking care of myself, but also leaning into my family and having the boundaries around work-life balance.
I love that. It's definitely challenging.
Yeah.
Especially like parent-teacher conference days or just teacher days or random snow days. There's always something that comes up. So it's definitely, I like that you just are taking care of yourself in that mix of chaos as well.
And I'm a scheduler. I'm like, I could not run a practice, take care of 2 kids, take care of my husband, do all the things you have to do and have it all work like it should without being a really intense scheduler. Every part of my calendar is just monotonously scheduled.
Same. If it's not on my calendar, it does not happen.
Exactly. Yep. Even like my workouts or my get in the sauna today. All of it's on the calendar. Yep. And I just follow it. And so it makes things run smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So many of us, myself included, started our business and was like, I'm not going to schedule. I have freedom now. And then quickly realized that's not an effective way to actually accomplish your goals. So scheduling is our friend, and it in fact invites freedom.
Sure.
So where do you see the future of women's health going?
Yeah, I'm really excited for the future. I feel like holistic medicine is getting its day in the spotlight. And I feel like a lot of people are leaning into this type of medicine now. Whereas before, even when I started my practice 8 years ago, people thought it was so weird that I met you on Zoom and that I talked about nutrition and health and didn't talk about prescriptions or surgeries or any of that stuff. So I feel like it's really, now is our time to shine in women's health and holistic health. So I'm really excited about the future. And I'm so glad that people are really adopting this lifestyle.
So how can people find you? Share with everybody. What is your free gift?
Sure. It is an egg quality cookbook where we talk about how to improve AMH, how to improve egg quality, and some fun recipes to be able to do that. There'll be a link. Do you want me to share the link now, or you want to put it in the show notes?
We'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, I was going to say,
Yeah.
I need to find it in my notes. So that's the free gift. And then you can find me at my website, which is at hormonepuzzlesociety.com. And on that website, we also have some free gifts. We have a fertility meal plan. We have a wonderful blog. My podcast is also over there. That's the Hormone Puzzle Podcast, where I interview amazing guests just like you ladies and talk about holistic health and fertility and hormones and all the things. I'm also on social media. So the best place to find me is on Instagram. That's my favorite little hangouts. And I am at Kayla_health coach and Hormone Puzzle Method. And I just got on TikTok where we talk about the certification course for practitioners, and that is at Dr. Kayla Smith.
Awesome. Lots of fun places to find you.
Yes.
And hopefully TikTok will exist.
I know, right? I know. I've really pushed back on getting on there, but our Instagram is more reserved for our clients and patients. And so I was like, okay, I want to talk about the certification, but that's not the right audience. So let me jump on over to TikTok and I'll do it there. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice. I love it. That's exciting. So we have our lightning round.
Oh.
Questions that you just go with your first gut instinct, your womb wisdom, just what comes first, right answer. And number one, what is your favorite number one self-care when you are super stressed out?
Oh, I love to put on a podcast and sit in my favorite chair and drink my favorite tea and just zone out and listen to my podcast. Not my podcast, but other people's.
Okay, if you listen to yours, I'm sure it's amazing.
Right? A little narcissistic, but no.
That would not de-stress me. I'd be like, oh, I said that wrong. I know.
Me too. No, I'm really into sales podcasts right now. I think women were taught to not sell ourselves, sell our services. And so I'm really interested in, okay, how can I sell without being like a pushy car salesman and still like persuade people for good, which is the name of the podcast I listen to.
I'm going to check that out.
Yeah.
What's your favorite book?
Oh my goodness. What is my favorite book? What am I reading right now? Oh, How to 10X Your Life. I think that's what it is. No, 2X is easier than 10X, or 10X is easier than 2X. Yeah, that's it. Sorry. It's a business book about how to 10X your life.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's one thing you can't live without?
My children and my husband.
Aww.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's your favorite snack?
Oh my gosh. What is my favorite snack? I don't even know. I don't snack a lot. I would say that healthy popcorn. I do popcorn. So if I do snack, I'll have a healthy popcorn. Or another thing I like is the beef sticks. If I need some extra protein, I'll eat a beef stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one? I like the Vermont meat sticks.
I like the chomps from Paleo Valley. Yeah, wait. Yeah, I think Paleo Valley, not chomps. Paleo Valley.
Yeah, I like Paleo Valley too.
Yeah.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Chocolate. I love a good chocolate. Oh my gosh, my favorite.
If you could live anywhere in the world and money wasn't a concern, where would you want to live?
Oh my goodness. I think Spain. I was looking at, we were joking whenever all the politics stuff was happening, my husband and I were saying we're going to move to Spain. So we didn't do
Yes,
that.
the time.
Yeah, right.
It's beautiful. And actually, Portugal is actively recruiting people.
Oh, wow.
You're right there.
The other place too was Scotland. I saw somebody did like a reel about Scotland and how much nature is there and how they don't have a lot of politics and it's just laid back. And so that's the other place I would go would be Scotland. Yeah. But I do love the US. So don't get me wrong. I love Nashville and I love where I live. So that's probably not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, you at least have good music there.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite season?
Oh, I love summer. Yeah. Summer's my favorite. I love to go to the pool. I love to be outside. The heat doesn't bother me. I'm like, the hotter, the better. Let's go. So yeah, summer would be the best.
Do you have a favorite and or least favorite food?
Oh gosh, I don't think I really have a favorite food. I just like a lot of flavor, like with a lot of herbs and spices. And so it can be really any different variety as long as it has good flavor and it's fresh. So that would probably, and so I say that I do like Mexican food because you can get it like super fresh, not the Tex-Mex, but the make from home Mexican food. I do like that where you put like fresh pico and all the herbs on top, cilantro. And so that's my favorite. Least favorite, I would say like anything processed. I don't eat a lot of pizza or like fast food, anything that's just going to make me feel like crap or would weigh me down. It's not my favorite. So I would say like fast food as a whole is not my favorite food.
Yeah, I forget it exists out there.
I know. I never eat it ever. I don't think I've had a fast food hamburger since I was like 16 years old. It's been a long time.
Easy, same.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite movie?
Oh, Step Brothers. My husband and I can quote that movie every line.
Oh my God, I love it. My husband loves that movie.
It's a classic.
Hey, we all need to laugh.
Exactly.
Is there a hobby or something that you're interested in that a lot of people don't know about?
Oh gosh, I love to cycle. I know people know about it, but maybe they don't know that I love to do it. But I love to go to cycle bar and just zone out to fun music and get a really good sweat. So that's probably my secret hobby. And I will say, I want to learn how to play pickleball. A lot of my friends are playing pickleball, and I haven't played, but it looks really fun. So that would probably be my other one, like my want to learn hobby.
Oh, nice.
What's the best concert you've ever been to?
Oh my gosh, I haven't been to a concert in years. Oh gosh. When I was like 15, I saw Tesla, Quiet Riot, and oh God, who was the other one? The Bullet Boys or something like that. Was that a band? The Bullet Boys? I feel like that's who it was. But Tesla, it's when Love Song was like on the radio, and I was at the 10th row. I was like 15. It was the best.
I love Tesla. Oh my God. I haven't seen it in a while. Oh, I gotta get this before I
It's a
go.
classic. And then I do remember I went and saw Aerosmith, like when they were in their heyday with my dad. I think it was like 18 or 19. That was really fun too. Yeah.
I bet that was an amazing concert.
Yeah, it was really fun. But yeah, gosh, I don't feel like, I guess people still go to concerts, but I don't think I have been to a concert. I can't even remember the last concert I went to. That's sad.
Well,
I need to find a concert.
You're in Nashville, and if you have any interest in like modern bluegrass, there is a band called Top House.
Okay.
It's from Montana, but they're in Nashville now, and they're good. And I think they're on their way to being like the next Mumford and Sons.
Oh, wow.
They have really catchy tunes. They have really good storytelling. They're all incredible musicians on their own. And they trade instruments and play different things and stuff. But they have all of that skill set. And then I've been seeing their fan base growing and growing. And I'm like, I think these guys are going somewhere. So you can get into them now.
Yeah. Where do they play? Just all over?
Yeah, I mean, they did a tour around the country a couple months ago. In fact, they were out here not too long ago, out in New Mexico. But I know they're based out of Nashville now, so I often see Nashville dates coming up. They're on Instagram and TikTok as well. And whenever I see their dates coming up, there's almost always in Nashville, and I'm like, so envious of you over there.
Oh, I do have a fun story too. So I saw Maroon 5 play before they got signed, before they were big. Nobody knew who they were. We were at this little nightclub, and I'm like in front of Adam Levine. And I remember thinking, that guy's so good looking. Who is this? And somebody was like, it's this up and coming band, Maroon 5.
Yeah,
and now I think about that and I'm like, oh my God, they're like huge.
Yeah, this is how I saw Dave Matthews when they were just playing in crappy little bars. I think they did like a barbecue joint in upstate New York that I saw them before anyone knew what they were. But I had the same feeling. I was like, I feel like these guys might be going somewhere. Like they're really good individually. They got some jams. So I had the same feeling. We'll see what happens. But
I love Dave Matthews. Oh my God.
Me too.
Like my heyday of college.
Okay, our last question. We'll end with, what is your ideal way to spend your weekend?
Oh my goodness. When it's summer, I love to be at the pool with my boys and my husband. So we'll have a day at the pool. Our neighborhood has a beautiful pool, so we'll go over there and then we'll grill. There's a little local butcher and we'll get like some steaks or some hamburgers and grill like really high quality meats and just spend the day together and then finish with a movie on our TV upstairs, which is like this huge massive TV that we just invested in. So yeah, I would say that would be my perfect day, just hanging out with my family and my boys.
Oh, I love that. And the nice warm sunshine. Thank you so much. I love learning more about you too. This was really fun. Thank you so much for joining us. And for everyone that's listening, make sure you grab her free gift. Sounds yummy. I'm sure the recipes are delicious since you're also a foodie. I feel like foodies always put yummy, delicious recipes together. Yeah. And we're so honored that you came to join us. We hope to have you back soon. And for everybody listening, We'll see you in our next episode. Thank you, everybody. Bye for now.
A big shout out and thank you to our sponsors for today's episode, Period Coaching School and Katie Bresek Wellness.
Thanks to you, our favorite bestie, for listening to the Period Besties Podcast, where no topic is TMI. And of course, share this episode with your besties.
Remember to leave us a 5-star review, nothing less than the best for us besties, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
You can follow us on Instagram at Stasha Washburn and at Katie Bresek, or email us at periodbestiespodcast@gmail.com.
Check out more about us at katiebresek.com and periodcoachingschool.com. And of course, check the show notes for free goodies and extras that support this episode.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye for now, besties.